So we are continuing with our discussion on Descartes' rational philosophy. So we stopped in the previous session a few minutes ago for until page 115. So from there we are moving on. So we are on the last lines of the page 115. So now so the last three lines. We are reading from the last three lines of page 115 now. Okay. So ويعتقد ديكارت أن وقوع الإنسان في الخطأ ناشئ من أنه لا يقف عندما رسمه الله له من حدود. So Rene Descartes believes that the mistake that man makes, when man make mistakes, despite the fact that the intellect is a tool or an instrument or an assistant for him that Allah give him, that God give him, and despite the fact that the intellect is trustworthy because the source, God, is trustworthy. Okay, so and despite that fact, man make mistake. When man make mistake or finds himself in errors, so this errors is not from the akal. The error or the mistakes is developed from the inability of man to obey the divine rules of God, the rules of God as stipulated. Okay, so meaning to say, أنه يقحم إرادته فيما لا يجوز أن تتدخل فيه الإرادة. So man uses his desire, his wills, in the ways that he is not supposed to use it. وأن الإنسان ليجنب نفسه الخطأ لو أنه ضبط إرادته ومنعها عن التدخل في عمليات الإدراك العقلية بما تصدره من أحكام على تلك الإدراكات التي يجب أن تختفي فيها الإرادة اختفاء تاما. Okay, so man could avoid mistakes and error if he could control his desire and prevent its desire from engaging in rational, practical perceptions, that is based on the judgments that is hidden, that is unknown to that desire, to him. فليس الخطأ في أن يدرك الإنسان ما شاء من صور ذهنية، إنما الخطأ كل الخطأ في أن نتناول تلك الصور الذهنية بالحكم فنؤكد أن هذه الصورة العقلية موجودة وجودا حقيقيا في العالم الخارجي. Okay, so there is no problem uh, in man using his mind to perceive mental objects or mental perception. Okay, so but the mistakes here and the error here, so the problem here is when man when man uses or studies that mental perception and place a judgment on it that that mental perception exists in real sense in the outside world. Okay. وأن تلك وهم من اختلاق الذهن وهكذا. So this kind of thought that our mental perception has an external representation is uh, is the imagination, is the imitation of our mentality. Okay. فلو فرضنا أنك تصورت في ذهنك فكرة وهمية ليس لها نصيب من الصدق. أوكي، فليس يسمى هذا خطأ. أوكي، ولكن يبدأ الخطأ بأن تؤكد أن هذا الوهم الذي في ذهنك له ما يطابقه في الواقع. Okay, if we assume that you have a perception in your mind, and this perception is imaginative thought. Okay, so this imaginative thought that in no way could be truth. So this, of course, it is imaginative thought in yourself, but we do not call it a mistake. It's not a problem for you to think or to have an imaginative thought in your mind. Okay? So we don't call this kind an error or mistake, but it becomes a mistake or error when you think that this imaginative thinking in your mind has ما يطابقه في الواقع as a representation in real sense, in real life. Okay. لو كان الإنسان لا يتصدى بالإثبات إلا لما يعرفه معرفة جلية دقيقة واضحة لعصم نفسه من الخطأ. So if everybody uh, does or establishes or works on what he knows clearly and concisely, okay, everyone will be able to prevent himself from falling into mistakes and error. فهو وحده المسؤول عن خطئه. So because every man, everyone, everybody is responsible for his own mistake. ويستحيل أن تقع تبعة أخطائنا على الله بحجة أنه أمدنا بعقول محدودة قصرى. So it will be wrong for us. It will be unfair for us to blame to put our own mistake on God, to blame God for our own mistakes by saying that because it is God who gave us the the rationality or the intellect or the mind that leads us into mistake. Okay, وأنه وهبنا في الوقت نفسه إرادة حرة, and to say that because He is the same one that gives us free desire, uh, freedom of thinking, of expression. تستطيع أن تتعدى حدودها المفروضة, that it's possible for it to go beyond its demarcation or its limit. So it will be wrong. This will be a wrong perception to blame our action, our wrong action on what on God. فتتناول بالتسليم والرضا ما يكون علمنا عنه ناقصا هوسا بسبب عجز العقل وقصوره. Okay, so then we should, okay, فتتناول بالتسليم والرضا ما يكون علمنا عنه ناقصا. So we should agree, we should approve, we should submit, okay, our idea to anything that we are unable to do or to know perfectly, based on our weak and our inability to think out of the box. إنما اتبعت في ذلك كله واقعة علينا نحن الذين نطلق العنان للإرادة. So the result and the proceed of all this falls on us, okay, and we are the one that we that could not control our thought, our will, and our desire. فَتَنْطَلِقُ إِلَى غَيْرِ مَيْدَانِهَا. So if we cannot control our desire, so our desire will of course go beyond the limit. وَبَدِيهِيٌّ أَنَّ اللَّهَ نَفْسَهُ مُنَزَّهٌ عَنِ الْخَطَأِ. So basically, primarily, naturally, God is free from all mistakes and from all error. لأنه ليس بين أفكاره ما هو غامض ناقص, because there is nothing that is incomplete and there is nothing that is imperfect in the thought of God. So imperfection and incompletion only exist in our mind as human beings. We cannot attribute our own imperfection and our own incompletion and weakness on God. Okay, we cannot say that God is responsible for our inability or our weakness. So by this, لقد ذكرنا فيما سبق أن الأفكار من حيث أصلها ومبعثها ثلاثة أقسام. We mentioned before that the mind, according to its source and its usefulness, is divided into three. Number one, أفكار كوناها بأنفسنا, the some thoughts that we acquire by ourselves. Okay, we call it acquired thought. Number two, اكتسبناها من العالم الخارجي, the occult, the thought that we acquired from the external world, okay, that we learn from others. And number three is the one that is intuitive, فطرية فينا. فإذا أردنا أن نجنب أنفسنا الخطأ, if we want to avoid ourselves from all mistakes, وجب فيما يتعلق بالنوع الأولى بالنوع الأول, okay, in relation to the first kind of thought, which is acquired thought, okay, it is important that نحذر أن نعذر غاية الحذر أثناء تكوين الفكرة. So we should be very, very careful when we are forming our thought. Okay, when we are forming our thought, we have to be very, very careful. فلا نحذف منها شيئا مما يكون جانبا من حقيقتها. So we should not neglect, we should not forget anything that is a fundamental basis of its reality. بل لابد أن نلم بأطراف الفكرة كلها لكي تكون كاملة. So we have to be concerned about all area and all aspects of our thought so that we can achieve perfection in it. لأننا إن كوناها ناقصة, because if we think incompletely or imperfectly, ثم سلمنا بها على نقصها, and we still approve it based on that imperfection, وقعنا في الخطأ, we are still going to find ourselves in mistake. ويضرب ديكارت مثلا بفكرة الجبل فيقول إنه لكي تتصور الجبل فلا بد أن تقرنه بالوادي، أي بالمنخفض الأرضي الذي نشأ تبعا لنشأة ذلك الجبل، وإلا كانت فكرتك ناقصة تبعث على الخطأ. So Descartes gives an example of this, that if we want to, he uses a mountain as an example. He says, for us to perceive, to understand what a mountain is, okay, we have to understand, we have to compare a mountain with a valley. A valley that is what a lowland that is below the الذي نشأ طبعا لنشأة ذلك الجبل, that develops after that mountain, that develops around the mountain. Okay, wa'illa, so if we cannot compare, if we don't understand the lowland, the valley, so there is no way we can understand the the mountain itself. So by this, wa'illa kanat fikratuka naqisatun, then as such, your if you only want to talk about the mountain without the valley, so your thought will be an imperfect one, and it will eventually lead you to al-khata, an error or mistake. Okay. So وأما فيما يتعلق بالأفكار المكتسبة من العالم الخارجي, فيجوز لنا أن نؤكد أن أفكارنا تقابل أشياء واقعة في العالم الخارجي. So that is number one. Number two, with regard to the thought that we learn from each other, from another person, from external world. So it is necessary that we make sure that our thought is in line with reality of the things. Okay. ولكننا لا نستطيع أن نقطع في يقين أن الشيء الخارجي له نفس الصفات التي تمثلها لنا فكرتنا عنه. Okay, but there is a problem here. The problem is that we cannot, okay, we cannot definitely say that things in the outside reality are exactly what our mind projects to us. Okay, meaning to say, there is no way we can ascertain, we can confirm that definitely the information that our mind gives us about the external forms, the external object is exactly tally or the same and similar. Okay. فإن أردت أن تكون متثبتا من أحكامك، وجب عليك أن تحذف من فكرتك عن الشيء تلك الصفات التي أضافتها حواسك. So if you want to be sure of your judgment of the external forms of anything, so that means you have to erase from your mind. You have to forget, okay, about every other information that your senses add to things, such as you have to remove the color, you have to remove the taste, you have to remove the shape, you have to remove the perception that you have about things. So then you will have the reality of object the way it is. وأن تبقي فقط على الصفات التي تتعلق حقا بالشيء الخارجي نفسه. So then you will only have left the basic properties of that external object. Okay, فحكمي على هذا القلم مثلا بأنه أحمر خطأ. So when I say, for example, a pen is red in color. Okay, when I pass a judgment that a pen is red, okay, so that judgment is wrong. It's wrong because لأن اللون ليس من صفات الشيء ذاته, because the color of the pen is not it's not the primary property of that pen, of a pen. إنما هو حالة خلقتها خلقا. It is a perception that I imagined, that I give to it by myself. فنحن إذن, so therefore معرضون للخطأ إلى أن نقوم بتحليل أفكارنا عن الأشياء الخارجية. So therefore we will always be led to a mistake or an error. Okay. إلى أن نقوم بتحليل أفكارنا. So when we always analyze our thoughts, okay, about things that are external to us. Okay, so by this, uh, we are going to make mistake always until when we analyze external factor or external objects or things, okay, without a relation to our sense perception. لكي نفرق بين ما هو موجود في الشيء وجودا حقيقيا وبين ما أضافته ذواتنا. Okay, so we have to be able to distinguish between what is the basic and primary property of things, and the difference between the basic and primary property of things and the other attributes that our mind adds to that thing. Good. That is number two. Number three, that is نوع الثالث من الأفكار, the third type of thought, وهي الأفكار الفطرية. So these are the intuitive thought. فلا يخشى منها ضرر. فلا يخشى منها ضرر. There is no harm in this type of thought. لأنها لا تؤدي إلى الخطأ إطلاقا, because it is pure. It doesn't lead us to error at all. فهي متصلة بطبيعة العقل اتصالا وثيقا. So it is closely related to the nature of our rationality بحيث يستحيل فصلها عنه, and it is indistinguishable from it. We cannot separate, inseparable. We cannot, it is an inseparable part of our mind. We cannot separate both of them. فهي جزء ضروري في تكوينه. It is an important element. It is a basic element of the formation of the mind. أو إن شئت فقل هي القوة الفكرية التي بها يفكر العقل. So in other words, we can say that this al-afkar al-fitriya, we can say that it is al-quwwat al-fitriya, it is the intuitive power that the akal use in thinking. فلا يمكن أن تكون الأفكار الفطرية خطأ. So it is impossible that the uh, intuitive thought leads to error. ومن هنا كانت فكرتنا عن وجود أنفسنا وفكرتنا عن وجود الله صحيحتين لأنهما فطريتين. So therefore, we come to the conclusion that our idea of our self-existence and our idea of God existence is true because they are both based on natural intuition. ولأنهما واضحتان جليتان تامتان أشد ما يكون الواضح والجلاء والتمام. And because both of them are clear, they are straightforward, they are concise, and they are strong and complete and perfect. So they cannot be erroneous. So هذا وديكارت يقول بحرية إرادة الإنسان ولكنه في الوقت نفسه يعتبر الإباحية أي التخلص من كل القيود. Okay, so by Descartes also proposes that human have freedom of thought or freedom of desire. Okay, but at the same time, so he says man, uh, man should be free from his thought, from his time, from his slavery. أخص مراتب الإرادة الحرة وهو يقول إن من يكون علمه عن الله وعن الحقيقة واضحا محددا فإنه لن يتردد بتاتا في اختيار الحق. So he says that anyone who has a very clear and real knowledge of himself and the truth and God, okay, anyone who understands God well, who follows the rules and regulations of God, and who studies the fact in a clear sense, it will be impossible that these people will get lost, and that person لن يتردد بتاتا في اختيار الحق. They will not have any doubt or any problem in choosing what is right. نعم هو حر فيما يختار. So yes, everyone is free to choose whatever he chooses. ولكنه لا بد أن يختار الحق. But we have to choose what is right. ما دام يعلمه علما صحيحا. If our knowledge is right and pure and sure. وأن الحرية العليا والكمال الأسمى لا ينحصران في العصمة من الخطأ, because the utmost freedom and the perfect the highest perfection are, are confined, they are prevented from what? From errors and mistake. بواسطة المعرفة الصحيحة, through good and right knowledge. وهكذا يظهر المذهب السقراطي مرة جديدة في تاريخ الأخلاق. So this is how the Socratic method and system resurfaces again in the history of ethic. So here we are going to stop for now until we come back in the next live session. So we have actually few pages left. So we are going to move on from page 109. نكتفي بهذا القدر وبالله التوفيق والهداية والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.